What's going on, everybody? It's been a long time since we last were in contact. I've been quite busy for the last little bit, but I figured it was time to come back with another video and an update of just my situation and what I've been doing lately. So essentially, I've been applying for my PhD, doing a bunch of things with my schooling, and I graduated with my master's degree last September, and I've just been working. Basically, I was working full time for a little bit there. Basically, November, December, January, just working full time, and I didn't really have any time for videos. Didn't really have time for much of anything, but work. And I after that, I started writing a few articles. I tried to get them published, and I ended up getting one article published by the Motley Fool. So it's right here. I have it in the description just in case. Like, I'm gonna go over it in a second. I'll go over to it here and just show you guys the article. It's called "Which Cannabis Companies Are Challenging for Second Behind Canopy Growth." And essentially, um, my point of the article was simply to point out that everybody's focusing on these big stocks like Canopy, Aurora. And don't get me wrong, I love Aurora and I love Apria as well. But it's hard for a lot of big, I shouldn't say big, I said small players. It's hard for a lot of people to make money in those stocks if they're trading at $10, $15. My cat's meowing, so she might get annoying. Sorry guys. My cat's kind of being crazy right now. But anyway, she always tends to do this right when I want to make a video or do something, that I need her to not do it. She always wants to freak out. But anyway, so we we got the article published, and I'm happy about it, but at the same time, it was kind of like bittersweet because they were kind of like, well, we want to work with you, but they want more, want me to write more, and they want me to be more active and be able to give them articles, but also faster. And they said they had like a lot of problems with editing this article, which I don't really understand because the article was simply like they have all these, things that they want you to do, like, you know, put hyperlinks to their articles and only their links. So don't like put hyperlinks to other articles or like other sites. They get really mad about that. And there's just some little things that they weren't too happy about. But anyway, overall the experience was pretty good, and got a little bit of money for the article, and now I'm just kind of coming to you guys with my video to basically describe why I wrote the article and why I think Aleafia, the stock that I'm going to highlight in this video, and bring you with another stock pick of the week, which I'm going to try and be update with and do consistently for the next little bit. Another thing I've been doing lately is I've been getting more into day trading. I don't necessarily recommend day trading for a lot of people, and a lot of people that are into investing, and I would say stick to that. Don't necessarily look into day trading. For me, it's simply just because I have a lot of time, and I have a lot of knowledge of the market, but I also have a lot of knowledge of just day trading just from following people for a long time. So it's not something I'm just jumping into. I've been doing research and looking at it for like a couple of years, and anybody that does look into day trading, I don't recommend doing it without doing a ton of research, learning everything you can, because it is probably one of the most dangerous things you can ever do with your money. And the market is one of the most volatile things. So unless you fully understand the risk and what you're doing to do those things, I don't recommend it for anybody. But for people that can control their emotions and possibly have time to maybe try and make a little bit of money on the side. But I wouldn't recommend people trying to get rich from it, and that's one of the biggest mistakes I think people make, is they just want to get rich real quick. So I don't necessarily recommend day trading for that for anybody. Definitely keep investing, take your hard-earned money and put it in places where it's going to make you money. And for anybody that bought any of the stocks that I recommended before and they're in a red right now, I can name a few off the top of my head. Ones like Juju, Cannabis, New Strike, maybe. I don't know if people just heard about the Hexo takeover for New Strike. So like, when you look at these companies, one big thing I would recommend is don't panic sell. I'm in the red with a few of mine. I can tell you a few of them that are bad investments. And that's the thing. Like, you may think them as bad investments because they're in the red, and some of mine are legitimately bad investments. But I realize that, and that's one of the biggest things you have to do when you're investing, is you realize, and you never take large positions in companies you're not sure about, but sometimes you make mistakes, and it happens with everybody. So this isn't something I necessarily feel bad about. It's just something that I think we can learn from. So like companies like LGC, like I bought them a little bit ago, and they're down to like 15 cents. I bought them at like 25 or 26 when they were kind of already on a dip, but now they're down to like 10. One of them was like 10 cents. I was like, holy shit, I'm losing like almost half my money. But that's the way it goes. And honestly, a lot of these like LGCs in the UK, so like they're not even starting up yet. And just like with a lot of Canadian companies, like you got to give these guys time to actually go through with their purchases to make money. A lot of these companies are not profitable once they become profitable, and that's one of the things that I talk about in the article. Is I talk about like companies like Canopy Rivers and companies like what's the other one? Green Organic Dutchman, that are big players. Probably even some people would even say bigger than Aleafia. Well, they're not uh, making money right now, and they're not going to be making money for a long time. Whereas Aleafia is making money, and their ways of doing it is really, I would say, unique, because it's more based on medicinal. It's more based on the medical aspect rather than recreational, and that's where they plan to make most of their money. And honestly, that's where a lot of the money is made. So a lot of people, they're like, oh, I want to get on the recreation, but that's not necessarily where the most money is made. A lot of people still buy from the black market, and it's tough to break that, especially for a long time, especially when you don't have retail locations, which we are getting quickly. So that might change in the next few months, but even then, it's going to take a few years for these companies to be profitable. Which is why we need to be very cognizant of what's happening, and why some of these stocks that are trading at $10, $15, you're like, oh, that's expensive, but they are gonna, Canopy's trading at $60. So eventually, the profits and the hype of these stocks will catch up with them once the profits start to come in and once people start to see the amount of money. Right now, people are scared because not only is the market kind of in this really eerie place where people are not sure if there is going to be a market crash coming, which I think there is, and it's tough for anybody to kind of call whenever there is going to be one coming. So that's why you just got to be careful. So that's why, when you're in those situations where your stocks are down, or you're in a situation where you're not sure, you just need to understand what the company's doing. Understand the fundamentals of the company, and don't invest in a company you don't understand the fundamentals of. Because unless you're day trading, or unless you're trying to just do like a quick week investment, you're getting in and you're getting out, that's fine. But if you're doing it for the long term, you need to be able to hold when shit goes wrong. When the blood hits the streets, and you're looking outside like, damn, am I gonna sell too? Am I just gonna throw it out and lose, take a loss, and throw my blood out as well, my hard sweat and tears, just because I'm scared and I don't want to lose more money? Well, guess what? That's what happens. So, like I said, some of my investments down 50%. Some of my other investments are up over 100%. That's the way the market goes, and you can't just sell because you think that. Like New Strike, I own a ton of New Strike stock, and people are like, "Oh, you should sell. You're losing money." And I'm like, "Well, you know what? Once Hexo takes over, now I own a ton of Hexo stock. Guess what? Now I'm making money on Hexo stock, and all I had to do is hold New Strike until they got bought out by Hexo, which is what will happen with companies like Juju as well. But the companies like that are better positioned in international markets, which is why they're going to be more profitable as well. And you just need to give them time. Companies like LGC. So sorry I've taken all that time away, and haven't really explained anything about Aleafia. I've just been focused on all those other companies, and my cat is still meowing, which is extremely annoying. But anyway, hopefully you guys don't hear that, and hopefully it's not too annoying. But what I want to do for the last 5-7 minutes of this video is just explain to you guys why I think Aleafia is the stock right now to look at, and why it's what I would call a safe bet for good profit. At least 50 to 100% profit in the next year or two you're looking at, and it's clean, it's solid. Look at the chart. Their technicals are pretty solid. They're trading right now to $1.90. $1.90. 2-week highs as high as $3.11. So when you look at kind of where they've been, they're kind of in the stock. They're kind of right where the stock should be in terms of the value, but the value is just constantly going up as these companies deliver on their promises to make more money and to be able to do what they're saying they're doing. When they show people, they're executing, and I think with Aleafia, you're going to see very, very quickly why this is the case. So very quickly, they recently just made an acquisition. So they acquired essentially Emblem Cannabis, another small cap producer, but it's mainly just focused on production. So they basically double their production capacity by buying Emblem Cannabis, and this gives them not only increased production capacity, but also it gives them the ability to not worry about how they're going to meet their demands, because they're essentially now have not only these production facilities but Emblem, but they also just opened a new production facility in Fort Perry as well. So that's going to meet with their Niagara greenhouse and give them like basically like a ton of production capacity. Now they're not nowhere near like the size of like Aurora or Aafia or even like Canopy or anything like that, but they are doing very good for themselves, and they're what a lot of people call a vertically integrated cannabis company, which means from seed to sale or from seed to smoke, they're essentially controlling the entire process, which means they're growing the cannabis, they're selling the cannabis, or a lot of times they're just subscribing prescribing the cannabis, because what they are, and if you look over there here, like Cannabis Medical Clinic, you see here, so with Canada's largest cannabis medical clinic network, we continuously optimize health and wellness so individuals can live their best life. So essentially what they do is they're with Cannabis Medical Clinics is they're a strain of clinics that essentially operate with the production capacity of Aleafia Health. So they're getting essentially they're growing their cannabis, they're selling it. Well, I shouldn't say they're selling it. They are selling it, but prescribing it through their, which is the biggest thing. It's all about the way their company is being integrated, because they're a company that is fully focused on every aspect, but they're doing it in a way that is fully focused on medical. They're fully focused on the medical aspect, and this is one thing that I talk about in my article. In this article, I basically I describe how today the government of Canada has announced that we are facing an opioid crisis. That opioids are becoming probably one of the most problematic issues in our society. Is the over or I should say the addiction of opioids and just the overuse of over-the-counter prescription drugs. And the fact that Aleafia has made the announcement that they have clinically proven that 45% of patients stopped using benzodiazepines after medical cannabis treatment. And this is revolutionary because it shows you that they can take this market that is $23 billion that I make, and that's 2017. It's obviously going up. So this is like a $25 billion market in opioids that they can start to chip away at. They can start to get people, instead of buying these over-the-counter prescription drugs, they can buy over-the-counter cannabis. And guess what? 45% of patients stopped using. So 23 billion, let's cut 25, let's cut that in half. What is that? It's 12.5 billion. So you're talking about a lot of money that these people are basically being able to not only help these people by getting them off of these extremely dangerous, extremely life-threatening drugs in many cases, and addictions, and getting them onto cannabis, something that is, I would say, like a lesser addiction, but it's certainly something that is addictive and can be become an addiction. So it's just one thing to understand. Now, it's like I say, following along with what I'm talking about in the article, the government of Canada has announced that Canada is facing an opioid crisis, and that Aleafia's cannabis clinics are at the forefront of this war. So Cannabis Medical Clinics are the largest network of referral-only cannabis clinics in the country, with 20 locations from St. John's to Kelowna. So all over the country, from BC to Nova Scotia, they have clinics that are prescribing over 60,000 patients today already. That's growing. So 60,000 patients they basically have. And in this article here, which I was just reading to kind of get on newer, because it was just published the other day, and they're talking about the Emblem acquisition, but they're also talking about how this is a genius model, and that's what I was talking about in my article as well, is just understanding that this company is modeled, the vertically integrated model, but also the way that they're basically targeting like opioid addiction as the way that they want to kind of market their clinic and their profit. It's really smart. And like he says here, medical marijuana patients tend to be more willing to open their wallets for marijuana purchases and are far more likely to buy high margin alternative products such as oils. More importantly, medical pot patients that are tied to a health clinic are likely to purchase cannabis from that clinic, as well as create a space for brand loyalty that's tough to come by in the early stages of the legalization process in Canada. So essentially, once they see this quality product is there and they have access to it, people will become very loyal to this company, and they already are. 60,000 patients growing every day. And this is why Aleafia is becoming one of the best companies to look at right now, and at their price of less than $2 per share, you can get in and make some decent profit. And they have just been announced as TMX Group's 2019 TSX Venture top 50 performing company of the year. They were just announced in 2019, so it just gives you a sense of where they are. Anyway, sorry about all the rant in the beginning in the video, but hopefully you guys liked it. Share,